Hi, it's Aurora, folks, and tonight the Nocturnal is taking over Brooklyn, New York at the Alamo Drafthouse for a very special screening of The Art of Self-Defense. We're getting ready to just kick it up a notch. Can't wait to see what's in store. So the movie is officially releasing tomorrow, but it's already getting a ton of buzz. It's actually been talked about on Rotten Tomatoes. You got an 89% and it's still going up. It's getting a lot of momentum. So can you just tell me how that feels for you to be here tonight with knowing that it's gaining such momentum?
It's huge. I mean, this is a very personal film, even though it's seemingly like this heightened reality of karate and like motorcycles, stunts, and all this stuff. Like it's a movie about a guy who doesn't feel like he belongs, and through martial arts kind of finds himself. But there's also darker elements involved too that definitely don't mirror my life. I've never been mugged. I do own a dachshund, but yeah, I mean, there are similarities, but it's not me. So the fact that the movie is doing as well as it is in terms of the way that people are responding to it, and the fact that I'm here, period, it's huge.
Right, and I did read in an interview that you said you saw a lot of yourself in the character of Casey.
I mean, I see elements of myself, but more so I feel I see the thoughts and the fears that I had while I was writing it. In the movie, it's definitely a film about not feeling like maybe you're enough of a man, or society's expectations of a man. Like, what are those compared to what are you? And yeah, it's been a really interesting thing to see that I'm not the only person that feels that way. There are other people, other men that feel that way. Women are relating to the film in a way that was different than I assumed that they would. And even people who are trans have come up to me and talked about how they're finding elements of it that relate to their story in a very different way. So I've been thrilled that people are responding to it.
Very, very cool. And also, speaking of elements, I noticed there were a lot of elements of toxic masculinity and also sexism, and it was really prevalent throughout the film. Can you tell me why you felt like this was so important to put in the film? Like, there were scenes with Sensei where he was saying that the dachshund is not manly, and listening to adult contemporary is not manly enough. Can you tell me why things like that were prevalent and important to put in?
Well, at the end of the day, we are a comedy, even though we're a very dark comedy, and so I did feel like talking about these topics, but in a way that was comedic and also just being very literal about everything. That was interesting to me. It's also the type of tone that I like myself anyway. But I also felt like it would surprise people. Like, it's not your standard narrative, and the topics that we're talking about, in the sense that we're a comedy, are also topics that comedies don't usually talk about. So it was a little bit of just subverting expectations that the audience might have.
And can you talk to me about the process of the casting for the movie?
Yeah, Jesse in particular was somebody who we didn't really have in our minds at first, but it was one of those things where during the writing, I try not to write with somebody in mind, but when his name came up and I was like, wait, we could get Jesse possibly? He read the script, he responded to it immediately, and then I wanted to work with him. I knew that, but we only had a short window to work with him, and so from when he said that he wanted to do the movie to when we started shooting was 2 months. And then we were shooting.
Oh my God.
So that's incredibly short, not a lot of prep, but at the same time, like, we made it happen. My crew from Kentucky was incredible, and now we're here. Like, it's crazy. It all worked out.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what is one thing or a majority of things that you would like the audience to really take away, especially from The Art of Self-Defense?
I hope they have a great time, first of all. I hope that they laugh and that they're surprised, and some people feel uneasy too, which I do think will happen. But yeah. But I also do, I think at the end of the day, it's a film about just being yourself. And as cheesy as that topic is, like, as cheesy as it is, say just be you. It's okay. That's really what I wanted to say with this movie, and I hope people have a conversation afterwards about things that maybe the film makes them talk about or think about or whatever. But I don't want to teach anybody any lessons. It's not a message film, but I hope it starts some conversations.
Very, very nice, and I'm definitely sure that it will. Thank you so much for your time.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Hi, we're here with Mindy Kelly. How are you doing tonight?
Amazing. Excited.
So amazing. I'm so excited to meet you officially. Can you tell me how the process was doing the coordination of the stunts in this movie in comparison to the stunts that you coordinated in your previous projects?
This film, Riley gave me the task to train the actors, martial arts, stunt coordinate it, fight, choreograph, and come up with all action design. And he set the tone by believing in us, which when a leader believes in you, that energy is what transcends to make art. He gave us permission to play, and so yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for everybody to see it. So
I'm excited. I actually saw the screening and it was amazing. I was blown away. So very, very cool. Can you tell me what it was like to train, like the process of training the cast and just working on the different stunts with them?
Yeah. So with Jesse and Imogen, I had a week to give them a crash course. So Jesse's only supposed to be a yellow belt. Emmy is a brown belt, who happens to be a black belt. And so working with them, starting out with like a basic structure of like what martial arts is. And then also the progression of what the film is going to have throughout the film. And then I went to LA, had a day to kind of block out all the choreography, and then went to Kentucky. And then, of course, on the day, every cast changes, all these different elements change. And then Alessandro was last to be casted, so I had 24 hours to teach him how to be sensei.
Oh my gosh.
And there's actually a video online of him on Instagram that he shows his kata that he did, and it's incredible. Like, they absorb all the information, and like they're such incredible talent but I think of what I do as storytelling through movement. So like it's sound, frequency, vibrations, how you play a note. I can teach you how to do one punch, but it's how you do that punch. So that's like the intention behind what you're doing, and they did that very well. And I feel like the fact that you don't get taken out by being like, this is a stunt double, it's very much so Jesse's journey, Emmy's journey, Sensei's journey, and all their characters are relatable in like a human way.
That's definitely portrayed throughout the film. It was quite amazing. And just what drew you to wanting to be a part of the film in the first place?
I met Riley through his cinematographer, Michael Reagan, a year before that. And yeah, like Riley was looking for female department heads, which is very rare. Then I got the script and I went to Joann's Fabric and got these rainbow belts for me and my dog and had like these stripes, and then just sent him my response with me and my dog. It was just like thoughts.
I love that.
Because there's like just, I feel like actions speak louder than words, or a visual like let him know that I was on Team Riley. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
So I just wanted to ask you about the art of self-defense. You got to work with Mindy Kelly, which is an amazing feat in itself.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what that process was like in working with her?
Well, she just saved my ass because I don't know anything about karate, and I had no time to prepare for this job.
I heard.
And I showed up in Louisville, and I had like 24 hours to learn these routines, and she just like pushed her way into my hotel room and told me what to do.
So you got to do it.
Yeah, she just said like, no, your leg's not high enough.
She pushed you, and look how amazing it looked on screen. It was great. It was very believable.
Listen, the magic of movies, I promise you, because I can't remember any of it.
That's all right. If it ever comes up, I'm sure a fight or flight response, you'll have that. So in the movie,
yeah, if
your
somebody
character
tries to mug me on my way home tonight.
Hopefully not.
He's gonna get a punch with my foot.
So in the art of self-defense, your character Sensei had many layers to the character, very many layers. Can you tell me what it was like to prepare for this type of role that you took on?
Well, yeah, I had really little preparation for it. It's funny, like some jobs you get a lot of time to prepare. I mean, I just finished shooting the Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark, and I had like 6 months to prepare for it, and it was a whole kind of process. And this one, I was offered the role like a week before we started. I think somebody must have dropped out, and which is how I get a lot of jobs. But it was just like running on pure instinct. I just really liked the script, and I just had a kind of idea that if I could hear the words in my head, and I just went for them.
I heard that a lot. I heard that a lot about Riley Stearns' script, that you can really visualize it even before it was being shot. You can see how everything was going to be filmed. You just had a vision for it already.
Yeah, it's very like meticulously written.
I saw the screening of it, and I tell you, it was a lot of twists and turns to me throughout that film. So it definitely had me feeling a little bit disturbed, but also very intrigued at the same time. So it's a good combo.
Good, then it's working.
Oh, definitely. And also what intrigued me was the dialogue in the movie in itself. It was very witty and very unique in a sense of dark comedy.
Yeah.
How did you get those lines out? Like what was going through your head when you were getting those lines out?
Yeah, sometimes I didn't get them out. The main thing is you have to take a deep breath before you started, because there were these long sentences, and if you stopped in the middle of the sentence, the joke was lost. And so Yeah, I had to work on my breath control, and just remembering the lines was kind of hard because they were long. But Jesse's sister like drilled them with me, and that's how I learned them. I never could have learned them without her.
They were quite hilarious. So to say with a straight face really was just like, it made it even more like funny for me.
Yeah, no, we cracked up sometimes. We had to like start over sometimes.
Well, that makes it all more fun. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. So can you just tell me, how does it feel to be here tonight so far?
It's great. I didn't even know it existed. I live across the bridge, and I didn't know this exists. Such an amazing place. And yeah, it's really great. You know, this is like the perfect like movie theater for the movie. It's playing at like all these other Alamo draft houses around the country, and it's like the right audience for this kind of movie, which is really funny and subversive and dark and kind of postmodern.
I agree. And this was such a dark comedy film. How was it for you to for the dialogue? How was it delivering these lines?
Difficult because it's so funny and the characters speak with such strange earnestness that you have no room to kind of laugh or smile or have any kind of self-awareness. So really difficult. In fact, there was one scene I think we did 25 times because I just could not stop laughing. It's an embarrassment. You're not supposed to do that in movies, but sometimes you can't help it. Alessandro and I both had trouble getting through some scenes. Me more than him, but yeah.
It happens. It's okay. It helps the scene flow.
Or it hurts it and we're over budget, but yeah.
You're already an acclaimed playwright and author. What were your initial thoughts when you first read Riley Stearns' script?
The first thing I asked Riley was, you wrote a brilliant script. I wondered, have you ever written sketch comedy? Because the dialogue in this movie is so brilliant. I thought he could also write comedy. That said, he created this amazing, dark, profound movie. But his dialogue is so funny. I was wondering, are you aware of... The first thing I asked him was, are you aware of how funny you are? And I don't think he is. I think he's just a very earnest person, and I don't think he is aware that he's also, very sharply funny.
That's very good. What drew you to the character of Casey as a whole?
I loved playing this kind of character who, he behaves like a child. He behaves like a 10-year-old boy. The way he stands and thinks and looks at people, and his whole psychology is like of a kid, somebody who's terrified of the world, assumes everybody's a good person until they punch him in the face, and and then kind of just surprised that anybody would hit anybody else because he assumes the best about everybody. So it's a really unusual character because the tone of the movie is so strange.
What is something that you really would hope that your audience would take away from watching this film tonight?
You could watch the movie as a kind of regular comedy, and it's very funny and succeeds as such, but the movie so brilliantly touches on and satirizes ideas of masculinity and discusses the way men can be misogynistic or perpetuate sexism and violence in the name of kind of being strong. And so it's a really brilliant satire that discusses some really important themes in addition to being very funny.